Good afternoon, dear students. So directly we'll move to our next topic, that is magnetic force and torque experienced by a current loop. Magnetic force and torque. Torque you have studied in your first chapter. Experienced by a current loop. Okay. So this is a main heading under which we have to study so many subtopics. So moving to our first topic, that is force on a current carrying conductor in a uniform magnetic field. So in class 10, you have studied that a current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a magnetic field, it will experience force. You have studied an activity from which you have applied the same to electric motor and so on. Isn't it? Here, again, the same thing, but what is the expression for force that you are getting there? We are going to find an expression for the force that is experienced by a current carrying conductor when it is placed on a magnetic field. Okay. So as you know, when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. It is actually because of the motion of free electrons. Okay. Since it is a conductor, it consists of so many free electrons, and because of the motion of free electrons in a conductor, it is actually experiencing a force, or a magnetic force is acting on it. Clear? So let us consider a portion of length L. Okay, portion of length L and a cross-sectional area A of a straight conductor carrying current. Clear? Now here you can consider the magnetic field which is making an angle theta with the axis. That means this is actually the direction of velocity. Okay, direction of velocity of the electrons. Okay, so this is the direction of magnetic field which is making an angle theta here. Clear? Suppose you consider there are n number of n, small n is the number of free electrons per unit volume in the conductor. Okay, and also Vd you know what is Vd? Yes, it is the drift velocity of the electrons. Clear? So small n is the number of free electrons per unit volume, and Vd is the drift velocity of the electrons. So you have studied the force acting on a charged particle placed in a magnetic field is given by the expression F is equal to Q into V cross P. Isn't it? Here we are considering the electron as a charged particle. So instead of Q we are taking E. Okay. Clear? So since here the conductor makes an angle theta with the magnetic field, then the magnitude of the force you can write it as F is equal to E V B sin theta. That is Q into V cross B. Instead of Q we put E, so E into V cross B or E V B sin theta. Here V is the drift velocity of the electrons. Okay. Now, then what about the total number of electrons in this particular length L of the conductor? Because you know small n is the number of free electrons per unit volume. Then the total number of electrons in this length L is given as, how can you write? Small n into that particular volume. Isn't it? So capital N is given as small n into A into L. Clear for you? Small n into A into L. Okay, then the total force F, the total force F on the free electrons, and hence you can write the total force F on the total length of this conductor. Okay, for the total length L of the conductor, what about the total force? How can you write? Because you have written an expression for the force. This force is on each electron, which is given by E VdB sine theta. So if you want to find the total force on this particular length L, you can write it as E VdB sine theta, that is the force on each electron, okay, into the number of electrons in that length L. Okay, so for this n you can substitute the value small n AL. So E VdB sine theta into small n AL, which is just arrangement NE VdA into BL sine theta. In the chapter current electricity, you have studied that the current in terms of number of electrons per unit volume, drift velocity, area, etc. You have an expression like NeVdA. Do you remember that? So here for this term NeVdA, I can put the value I. Therefore, F is equal to BIL sine theta, BIL sine theta. Or here you know this B and also L, that is a displacement, both are, or the length, both are vector quantities. So I can write I into L cross B. Clear? I into L cross B. Okay, so this is the expression for the force on a current carrying conductor. Very important, force on a current carrying conductor in a uniform magnetic field. Now here if certain conditions like theta equal to 0 and theta equal to 180 degree, F will be 0. Isn't it? What does it mean? So it means that a conductor placed parallel to the direction of magnetic field. A conductor placed which is parallel to the direction of magnetic field experiences no force due to the magnetic field. But if theta equal to 90 degree, that is the force is maximum. Isn't it? That means when a conductor is placed perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, it experiences a force. So here you can note 2 points, that is F is equal to 0 and theta equal to 0 and 180 degree, and F is equal to maximum value. What is the maximum value? BIL, when theta is equal to 90 degree. Okay, so in your class 10 you have studied one rule to find the direction of force, that is Fleming's left hand rule. So similar to that, one more rule you have to study. So 2 rules are there to find the direction of force. Okay, so let us check that. So the first rule which is used to find the direction of force is right hand palm rule. You have studied right hand thumb rule. This is right hand palm rule. Okay, for that you have to stretch your right hand in this way. Okay, so after stretching, here this thumb points to the direction of current. Clear for you? Then the stretched fingers, these fingers, okay, this direction will give you the direction of magnetic field. You can see that these two are perpendicular. Okay, then now we want to find the direction of what? The force experienced. So in order to find the direction of force experienced, it is said that the direction of force is given by the from out of the palm, like this. Okay, out of the palm, that is pushed by the palm outside. So that is also again perpendicular to these two. Understand? So this is the direction of current, then this is the direction of magnetic field, then this way which is pushed upwards. That is the direction of force experience. So this is one of the rule, right hand palm rule. Now you can read the statement. If we stretch our right hand palm such that the thumb points in the direction of current and the stretched fingers in the direction of magnetic field, then the force F on the conductor will be perpendicular to the palm, okay, in the direction of pushing by the palm, okay. That is outwards, pushing outwards, which is perpendicular to the palm also. Clear for you? So that is the right hand palm rule. Now again, the second rule which gives you the direction of force is Fleming's left hand rule. So the second rule is Fleming's left hand rule. So this rule you have studied in class 10, in which you are considering your left hand in such a way that you have to stretch your 3 fingers like this, that is the thumb, then the forefinger and the middle finger, in such a way that these 3 should be mutually perpendicular. Clear? Then the forefinger will give you the direction of magnetic field, thumb will give you the direction of current, the middle finger will give you the direction of current, then the thumb will give you the direction of force experienced. Okay, in this case also you have to stretch your fingers of your left hand in such a way that these 3 fingers are mutually perpendicular. Then the forefinger will give you the direction of magnetic field, this middle finger will give you the direction of current, then thumb will give you the direction of the force experience. So you can use this to find the direction of force or direction of current, anything regard to this condition in your question. Okay, so that is the second rule. How can you state the rule? So the statement is, if the forefinger, middle finger and the thumb of the left hand are stretched mutually at right angles to one another, such that the forefinger points in the direction of the magnetic field, middle finger in the direction of current, then the thumb will point in the direction of the force F. Clear? So these 2 are the rules which we use to determine the direction of force experienced by a current carrying conductor in magnetic field. I hope it's clear for you. Now we will move to another important topic. The next topic is force between 2 parallel current carrying conductors. Okay, so here we are considering 2 long current carrying conductors like this. Okay, so this is AB and this is CD. So this conductor is carrying a current I1 and this is carrying a current I2. These 2 conductors are separated by a distance R. Okay. So we are considering 2 thin parallel infinitely long conductors AB and CD. They are separated by a small distance R, and suppose that is placed in free space. Here I1 and I2 are the currents flowing through them in the same direction. Okay. So you know this conductor, since it is current carrying, it produces a magnetic field around it. Clear? Similarly, this conductor also produces a magnetic field around it. So actually, in the vicinity of this magnetic field, this AB is placed. Similarly, CD is placed in the magnetic field produced by the conductor AB. That means each conductor produces a magnetic field around it, and one conductor is in the magnetic field of the other, or one conductor is in the magnetic field produced by the other. That means they experience a mutual interacting force. Okay, these conductors will experience a mutual interacting force. Because of this magnetic field, it exerts a force here. and because of the magnetic field produced by AB, it exerts a force here. So actually, if you want to find the force between these two conductors, first we have to find the magnetic field, and then because of that magnetic field, you can find the force experienced on the other. Okay, so we can start first, that is magnetic field produced on this CD due to AB. Magnetic field produced on the conductor CD due to AB. So for a straight conductor, there is an expression for magnetic field that we haven't studied since it is deleted from the syllabus. So just keep it in mind, the relation, that is mu 0 I by 2 pi r. Okay, mu 0 I by 2 pi r. This is the expression for magnetic field for a straight conductor. Here we are going to find the magnetic field produced on CD due to AB. That means the current I1 which is flowing through AB is the result to produce the magnetic field around this CD. Understand? So magnetic field produced on CD due to AB is given by, you can write it as B1, okay, which is equal to mu 0 I1. We will take I1 because of AB. Due to AB we are writing. So it is current is I1 divided by 2 pi r. Okay, B1 equal to mu 0 I1 by 2 pi r. Now, what about the direction of magnetic field? You know, according to Fleming's left-hand rule, if you are checking, you can take the direction of current, then direction of force, and direction of magnetic field. So here, the direction of magnetic field is perpendicular to, magnetic field is perpendicular to CD, isn't it? And is directed into the plane of the paper. Directed into the plane of the paper. Okay. Now you can find the force. Force per unit length on the conductor CD, isn't it? So a current carrying conductor placed in magnetic field will experience a force. Since there are two conductors, you have to find the force between these two, because there is a mutual interacting force between these two. So the force is given by F1 is equal to, we just have seen the derivation for the force, that is Bill sine theta, isn't it? Bill sine theta. So first this CD, what about the expression? It is B1, because the magnetic field produced is B1, right? Because of this. So B1, then I2, the current flowing through this conductor, I2, and L sine theta. Okay. Now listen. We are writing the expression for force per unit length. Okay, it is for unit length. So you can take L as 1. So this expression is F1 is equal to B1 I2 sine theta. And then B1, you know the expression that we have written here. So you can substitute the values of mu 0 I1 by 2 pi r into I2. And what about the direction? Yes, the current and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. So you can write it as sine 90. So the value is mu 0 I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r. Mu 0 I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r. Clear? And how or what is the direction of this force? According to Fleming's left-hand rule, you can find the direction, because you know the current is in the upward direction, that is from D to C. Then the magnetic field is perpendicular and it is acting into the plane of the paper. So by taking the rule, that is the Fleming's left hand rule, you can identify the direction of force also, and that force will be acting like this. So this is the force F1. Understood? So F1 is equal to mu 0 I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r. Clear? Now we have to find the magnetic field produced at AB due to the current flowing through CD. So for that you can write again B2, which is equal to mu 0 I2 divided by 2 pi r. Okay, and the force you can find, because here the direction is like this, that is the magnetic field is out of the plane of paper but it is perpendicular to this wire. Okay, so F2 is equal to B2 I1 L sin theta. Clear? Now L is 1 and theta is 90 degree. So B2 you know, mu naught I2 then I1 divided by 2 pi. Mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi. Clear? Now it is clear that F1 and F2, the magnitudes are equal. And according to Fleming's left hand rule, you can see that the direction of force is actually in this direction, that is in this direction. This is F2. Okay, so here F1 and F2 are in two directions, that is F1 is equal to minus F2. Okay, thus you can see the two wires attract each other. That means if in two conductors, if the current is in the same direction, they will attract each other. And if in any conductor the current is reversed, the forces will such that the conductors repel each other. Understand? So what all are the points that you can conclude here? For two parallel conductors having the current in the same direction, they will attract each other. Okay, attract each other if the current is in the same direction, and if in one conductor the current is reversed, that means the current in opposite direction for both, then they will repel each other. Okay, these two are the points. And also from the expression it is clear that the force per unit length between two parallel current carrying conductors is directly proportional to the strength of the currents, isn't it? And inversely proportional to the distance. So if the distance increases, this force will decrease, and if you are increasing the amount of current or magnitudes of current in these two parallel conductors, then the force experience will also get increased. Clear for you? Now, with this expression, we are going to define the term ampere. You all have studied what is ampere because it is considered as the SI unit of electric current. But actually the definition came from this particular situation. Okay, that is from the expression mu 0 I1 I2 by 2 pi r, we are going to define ampere. Okay, it's very important. That means this derivation normally it is asked for board exam, that is to find an expression for the force between two parallel current carrying conductor, and also finally it is asked to define the term ampere. Okay, so after finding this value, you have to define ampere. For defining ampere, you will put this I1 and I2 as 1 ampere, that is unity. Okay, current is taking current as unity, and also the distance between them is taken as unity. So you will get F is equal to what? Mu 0 by 2 pi. That is, if I1 equal to I2 equal to 1 ampere, R equal to 1 meter, you will get F equal to mu 0 by 2 pi. Now, what about the value of mu 0? Mu 0 is 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7, isn't it? So, F is equal to 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7 divided by 2 pi. R is 1, then I1, I2 is 1. So, what is the value? As it is 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton, isn't it? 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton. Now, how will you define ampere? That is, ampere is that constant current. Ampere is that constant current which, if maintained in each of the two straight parallel conductors of infinite length and of negligible area of cross section, and it is placed 1 meter apart in vacuum, okay, and it would produce a mutual repulsive force equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton per meter length. Clear? So we are taking I1 and I2 as unity, then R as unity. Okay, so the value for the ampere or the constant current ampere is defined as what? As only if the distance between two straight conductors is maintained as unity and the current flowing through the two parallel straight conductors is maintained as 1 ampere, you will get a value of 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton as force. So it is acting per meter length. So if such a value occurs for the force, it can be termed as ampere. So our next topic is torque on a current loop in a magnetic field. So already you have studied a torque in our first chapter, second chapter, also in our previous years. So here we are considering a rectangular loop, and the loop is placed in a uniform magnetic field. So does it experience any force? Does it experience any sort of torque? Okay, so let us see that. For that we need a diagram. So to create magnetic field, I am using the pole pieces like north and south. Okay, now the rectangular loop is placed here. The rectangular loop is placed between the pole pieces so that there will be a field, uniform field from north to south. So let the name of this particular loop is PQRS. Okay, and it is having a length L and breadth B. Length L and breadth B. Okay. So let us assume a current is flowing through the loop. I current is flowing through the loop. Here you know the arms PQ and RS will experience a force, whereas QR and PS experience no force because the current in them are parallel to the direction of the field B. You know the force expression is Bill sine theta. So only if the face or the side which makes an angle 90 degree with the magnetic field will be experiencing a force, but the other two sides PS and QR is parallel to the field, which means theta equal to 0. So the force is also 0. So first we will look this side, that is for PQ. Only PQ and RS we need to consider. Okay. So force experienced by PQ. What is the value? Yes, it is Bill, isn't it? Because sine 90, which is 1. So Bill. And here, what about the direction? You can check according to the Fleming's left hand rule, in which you will get the direction is perpendicular to the plane of the paper and into it. The direction of magnetic field, direction of force is perpendicular to the plane of paper and into it, okay, inward. Now similarly the force on RS, you can write again, it is Bill, and the direction is perpendicular and out of the plane of paper, because here it is magnetic field from north to south, which can be indicated by your forefinger of your left hand. Okay, then the direction of current using the middle finger, then the thumb will give you the direction of force. So in such a manner, if you are finding here you can see that the magnetic field is into the plane of paper, and here it is out of the plane of paper. Sorry, not magnetic field, force experienced. Okay. Now here you can see both forces are equal, isn't it? But opposite forces. So two equal and opposite forces constitute a couple, isn't it? And because of this couple, the loop is deflected. Okay. So this actually, because of this reflection, we are calling it as a torque. So what about the torque experienced by the loop? Because you know, torque means what? Force into the perpendicular distance, isn't it? Force into the perpendicular distance. So the force experienced is equal in magnitude, so you can write BIL into the perpendicular distance between the two forces. Actually, the perpendicular distance here between the two forces is, you can see it is B, isn't it? B is the value. So you will write it as B. Clear? Now here, length into breadth will give you area. So it is BIA. BIA. Because L into B is area of the loop. Clear? Now, so this is the condition where the rectangular loop is placed such that the uniform magnetic field B is in the plane of the loop. Understood? In this condition, that means here we got the expression for torque as BIA, and for in this condition actually we have considered the loop and the direction of magnetic field. When you consider the magnetic field is in the plane of the loop. Okay. Now another condition is there where the plane of the loop is not along the magnetic field. It is making an angle with it. That means when I draw the figure, you will get the idea. Here we have the pole pieces. Okay, north and south. Now your rectangular loop is like this. Suppose that. Okay. That means here the magnetic field, direction of magnetic field is like this. This is the direction of magnetic field. But the plane of the loop is making an angle with it, isn't it? It is making an angle with it. In such case, if you are finding the torque, you will get a little more change in the expression. That means we have to include the theta component also. Okay, so what will happen? So in such a condition, the torque is given as BIA sin theta. Okay, or you can write this I into A. I into A means it is M, which is the magnetic dipole moment. You will study later. Magnetic dipole moment of the current loop. Okay, so you can substitute here. So it will be MB sin theta. That is, torque is equal to M cross B. M cross B. Clear? So if there are n number of turns in the coil, you can write tau is equal to BIAN sin theta. Or if theta equals 90 degree, it will be BIAN. Okay. Clear for you? Here you can call n this much term, okay, as M. Now the value of torque is minimum as well as maximum depending upon the condition. So it will be maximum when theta equal to 90 degree. That means when the plane of the coil is parallel to the magnetic field. Okay, and torque is minimum when theta equal to 0. That is when the plane of coil is perpendicular to the field. So there are conditions like this. Okay, similar to that you have studied in electrostatics. So this is all about torque experienced by a current loop placed in a magnetic field. So next topic is current loop as a magnetic dipole. So you have studied electric dipole in which two charges, that is equal and opposite charges, are separated by a distance. We call it as electric dipole. Similarly, magnetic dipole means two poles like north pole and south pole which is separated by a distance. We call it as a magnetic dipole. Okay, so how does a current loop behave as a magnetic dipole? So you have studied the various cases of current loop starting from Biot-Savart's law. We have studied that current loop, in a current loop, looking from both sides, that means if suppose this is the current loop, okay, and here suppose the current is flowing like this, okay. So when you look from the top of view, you feel that it is what? Anti-clockwise direction, isn't it? But if you are looking from here, you will feel that it is clockwise direction. Am I right? So from looking from this direction, it is anti-clockwise. Okay, suppose this is the circular loop. Okay, looking from this direction, it is clockwise. Okay, but looking from here, it will be, looking from here it is anti-clockwise, from here it is clockwise. Clear for you? So there are two directions from two views, isn't it? So always an anti-clockwise direction will behave like a north pole. Anti-clockwise will behave like a north pole, and this side will behave, that means clockwise direction will behave like a south pole. Understood? So in the same loop, in the same current loop, we have two poles on either side. If there exist two poles, we will call as a dipole. Okay, so the current loop will behave as a magnetic dipole. Clear? So once again, the anti-clockwise direction for a current loop, suppose this is the loop here, okay. So anti-clockwise means in this way it has to move. In such a case, okay, in such a case it will be a north pole. You can see, okay, north pole. Clear? Now if it is clockwise, like this, if it is moving, okay, in this way if it is moving, you can call it as a south pole. You can see that, okay, south pole. Direction is clockwise direction. Clear? Also here we can write the magnetic dipole moment of the loop, and the expression is M is equal to NIA. M is equal to NIA. So the SI unit is taken as, it is area, right? This is current. So it is ampere meter square. SI unit of magnetic dipole moment is ampere meter square. Clear for you? So this is all about the current loop as a magnetic dipole. Now in the next class we will be discussing the working of moving coil galvanometer, which is very important. In this chapter a few topics are deleted, so check the syllabus. Okay, thank you so much.